Okay. 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 Hi. Oh, I saw somebody in and then somebody back out again. Right. Is anybody else here? Or is it just me? Because I'm watching myself, I think. I think it's just me here. Okay. So there's an incredible lag between the video. Hello, I see somebody just came in. I'm going to start in a few minutes. I wanted to see if there is a way I can call out to my followers to say that I'm live. And well, that's okay. So now there are zero viewers. And now there are 2 viewers. Hello. I can't see who's here, I think. I'm doing sort of an impossible thing. I'm going to record the paint pouring of the Ultimate Watercolor set today, right now. And I am recording with the camera of my phone because that's got the best camera for any light circumstances. And I can stream. And at the same time, I have my tablet right beside me so that I can watch who's in. So I see Tuki Yonigatsu. Do I say that correctly? And where are you from? I'm very curious, of course. And Kokatsuyan, hi, I'm here. Mariam, what a surprise. I was not expecting such a wonderful watercolor evening. Well, you'll have to wait and see, right? Hello, welcome. It's a bit bright, is it? And why is that? Because of this light, maybe? This is help. Yeah, I see there's a reflection on this. Hold on. So maybe I'd better get rid of that and put some towels here. Does that help? It's always very challenging. If you hear noises in the background, it's my family. It's what? Washed out. On my screen, it isn't. From Yukon, Canada. Oh, lovely. Oh, I would. Oh, God, that's a place I would love to go to Yukon, Canada. I've just been daydreaming a bit about moving away from the Netherlands because we have a stamp-sized country that's really crammed with people. And I so long, to be more in nature and not like we have nature here. There's a very, very small parks. And I would just love to be in, like in nature, in capitals. So Yukon, that's nature. And fracking, I think, right? Yukon, isn't that where all the fracking business going on? So many protests about that. It helps. Okay, thank you. I'm really glad to know that. It's sometimes really hard, when you go live. Recording a video is hard enough with the light and the noise or the sound. And going live is even a bigger challenge. So, okay, I'm gonna just start pouring. Got myself a glass of water. Because knowing myself, this is probably going to take a while. So I have a couple of things at hand here that can help. I've got some wooden skewers here that I use because sometimes when you pour paint from the tubes into the pans, the binder separated from the paint, so then you have to stir it in the pan. I've also got a ceramic plate here that I keep at hand to pour that excess paint on. To improve my light circumstances, and this is not sponsored or anything, I'm using a black eye, wide eye lens for my camera, for my phone cam. That's really nice. I found that it really helps for overhead filming because it allows me to get a bigger part of my worktop in focus, even when the camera is really low, because the camera, I think, is only 1.5 foot away from the worktop, so it's really, really close. I have to be careful I don't bump my head into it. So skewers and a plate, and I've got 2 pieces of cloth. This is a dirty piece of cloth that I will use for, sometimes when you open a tube, a lot of paint pours out and then everything will be smeared. So I'm wearing an old t-shirt that I don't mind getting messy. I've got a jar of water and a brush because I'm going to be making a little color chart that's going to fit right into this this metal box that I bought. And this will hold it perfectly. I'm going to laminate it with moving tape. And I'm also going to include on the back side, before I do, all the names of the colors that I'm using, because I don't want to write the names, I think, here. So, but I'm going to put this away to create some space. And here are all the pans that need filling. As you can see, some already have some paint in that. And I have Honnêtes, which is Oxide by Schminke Horadam. We'll say something about that later. So I think you would like it better if I put that in place, right, where you can see it. That's nicer, I think. So got to see if everything's got a good spot so that I can work without, toppling over anything. I'm also going to put away my glass a little bit further away because it wouldn't be the first time I drank my own paint water. By accident, of course, by accident. Okay, so what else do we have here that you need to know anything about? More animals than people here. Oh, wow. Yes, well, that's exactly what I would love. So it's 30,000 people in the whole of Yukon. That's as many people as there are in my little town. And this is a little town, very little. But that's it. Oh no, not a good taste. What is not a good taste? Feline firkin. No fracking, more mining. Yeah. It's all kind of big industry things, right? Very invasive for nature. A lot of animals. Do I have to think of bears and anything? Those would scare me a bit, I have to say. Right. I'm going to sit down and pour. I think I've got everything ready. The paint water. Oh, no, not a good taste. No, but I'm especially worried about cadmiums and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm going to sit down now. I think I've got everything ready. And if you have any questions, I don't think there is a way. Is there a way? Does anyone know if I can be, how do you say that? Get an alert when I get a comment, so that I can take a look, because I don't know. I haven't been live for a while now. And I've watched an artist go live recently, and she was so incredibly interactive with people watching. And I was like, how does she do that? But apparently she does it every day. So, hi, Charlotte. Grizzlies. Oh my God. Grizzlies. Those can be a bit scary, right? That's what I hear. Moose, caribou, wolves, and bison. I would love to see all of that. We've recently got wolves here as well in the Netherlands. I'm just really, really afraid of them because there's so many people who don't want them here. And this is such a small country. I'm a little bit afraid for them, not of them, for them. It says 7. 7 what? 7 viewers? 8. Maybe she had a moderator. Yes, that could be. Yes. Well, I'm not sure I need a moderator yet, right? I mean, that's what you do when you've got lots of viewers, I think, and when you need someone to, I don't know, can moderators alert a broadcaster? I don't know. Okay, right, I'm going to start. So I spent 3 full work days from morning to night to midnight on creating this ultimate watercolor palette. So what I could have done is I could have looked for, palettes online made by artists or by manufacturers and started from there. But I've reviewed so many watercolor paints over the past years that I have 2 full collections, Rembrandt by Talens, which is a Dutch brand, and I've got Sennelier. I've got all of the colors in those collections. I've also got a lot of tubes from Daniel Smith and Schminke Horadam and some Core. Do I now have them all? There's 5 brands. And I decided I was going to compose a set of paints that would be perfect for me. I limited myself to the paints from which I have tubes. And from which tubes are available. So for instance, the Roman Schmoll Aquarius paints I find fantastic, and they could have been in this set, only they don't have tubes. Not yet, I don't know, but I really needed, they have the full pans, and the thing is, I wanted to cram in as many pigments into one set in one box as I could. Because right now I've got so many paints that they don't fit on my worktop. And if I try to fit as many on my worktop as possible, there is very little space to work. So it was my goal to make a set of paints that would contain my favorite paints and the best mixing pigments, so that that would be as versatile as possible. So my plan is, in the end, when this palette is dry, when I can use it, to put away all the other paints for a while and to paint only with this set of paints. In the past few days, I made a dramatic amount of color charts and mixing charts. Started out with just small strips, thinking that it would do for me to just make comparisons like so. But then in the end, I found myself making in-depth studies of pigments, and I looked up a lot of websites like the Handprint site, the Artist Creation site. Kimberly Crick's got a really lovely website on which she shares a lot of information about watercolors and their light fastness, which proved to turn out a real challenge, because I wanted to have a good light fast alizarin crimson. That was just really hard. So I did all this work, and it doesn't seem like a lot. It seems like something you can do in a couple of hours, but unfortunately, no, this is the imprint of 3 full days of work. A sick bear over 18 years old, dangerous, sick and hungry bear. Do you have a sick bear in your area? Luckily, we have no spammers here right now, so it should be okay without a moderator. Yes, any spammers will go immediately. Can I kick anyone out if they are there? I don't know. I bet you took a long time to decide on what colors you were going to use. Oh, yes. And also, a couple of days ago, I posted a video saying, oh, yes, I found the perfect set. Only, as you can see here, I don't know if you can see it, but there's little pieces of watercolor paper stuck onto this page. And those were the colors that I later changed. So I went back in for a whole day and I looked through some colors again, because I felt I needed another yellow, which had to be a light, fast, light yellow. And I wanted it to be transparent, because I really prefer transparent colors. But I couldn't find one, so I chose a semi-transparent one. And I've also been, toying with the earth tones, because I love so many of them. But in the end, I had to try and find a set of earth tones that would be most versatile and that would have, enough differences between them to deserve to be in the box. And there is one color in that I would never ever use, the PG17, which is a chromium green, because I think it's one of the ugliest colors I have. But one of my viewers said, try and mix it with other greens, because these greens are very much in your face, as is the PY129, yellow, green, gold. And she said, just try mixing them with a chrome oxide green. And that was really lovely. That turned into beautiful green for foliage and everything. So I decided to go for that. So the blues, I think the blues were the first I was decided on. That was for me very clear, because blues there's a lot of difference in between the blues, and also they're pretty light fast, except for some colors like indigo and Prussian blue. But finding a light fast color is fairly easy in blues, not as much in the reds. So from this chart, I made a new chart where I wrote down all the colors in the right order, the order they're going to be in my box. Because and I didn't look at the chemical order, which is what sometimes manufacturers adhere to. What I did is I tried to make it a visual stream, like a natural flow in color. So you will probably find that my order deviates from the order you're used to sometimes. But I use a classic European order. So I start with white, then the yellows, the oranges, the reds, the pinks, the purples, and the blues, the greens, the earth tones, and the blacks, roughly. So, but in that, there are still things to think about, which I've done today. And also to prepare this filming, because I know this is going to probably be a long live video, I put down all my tubes in the right order, so I just have to pick them up. And I created this color chart in advance so that I can pour a pan and straight after I can paint a little swatch on this color chart. So that's what I'm going to start doing now. And I'll try to look at my tablet as often as I can to see if there are any questions or remarks that I should reply to. So I'm going to put this out of the way for a while, so you're not going to be seeing that. I'm going to, oh, oops. Something else I did is that I inserted all the pans and I wrote down all the pigment codes on the pans. So all around the pans on every side, I write down a pigment code. The reason is that sometimes when you have these pans in a set, they will get damaged, the letters. And when that happens, you will find sometimes it gets difficult to read the letters. So that's why I write it on all four sides. And on the bottom, I write down the brand and the number of the paint so that I will know which one to buy again. Of course, I can always buy another one, but then I'll just, scrub off this. So that's what I spent my time doing today. So I'm going to be pouring on this plate. I hope it's not going to be too bright. On my screen, it looks all right, but if there are problems, let me know. So this is a PW4, if all's well. Yes. So this is a fairly transparent Chinese white. And I chose it because I want to have this in my set for mixing. So there will be 2 whites in my set, of which this is the mixing variety. So now I need, hold on, I have to get up and get something. So I had to get rid of the serving tray that I had to put my paint tubes in or on. So now I took a pot and I'm going to insert every tube there that I've done pouring. So I'm trying to pour on the plate to avoid problems. And there have been problems. This is experience why I'm doing this. But when I'm finished, this is a fairly liquid paint. And that totally depends on the pigments. You will see that every pigment behaves differently. So I took some out. I'm going to try and work this in. Okay. So PW4. And I'm going to put it in place like that. So then, oh, hold on. I nearly forget. I'm doing the color swatch immediately. This is a white, so it's not too important because you won't see it anyway, but with things like this, it's always very important to make it a habit to do it right straight from the get-go, or else you will forget things. Right, Buff Titanium. I find this by Daniel Smith to be the most beautiful one. So here is why I have the dirty cloth. If you look at my tube, here is paint around the opening of the tube. So I'm just going to whirl it around in water to activate the paint a little bit, and then gonna try and clean it a bit so that it will open easily. And when I look into the tube, I can see there's been a little bit of separation between the binder and the glue. No, it's not too bad at all. It comes out really thick. Okay. And I clean it again sometimes. So actually, I prefer working with full tubes. And now I'm working with half tubes because, well, I needed as many pigments in there as I could. So I can put that one away. I don't have to, beat this down because it doesn't have, like a little pointy mountain. So I'm going to put that in here as well. And if you hear something strange in the background, it's my dog. He's having his weird 5 minutes. Sounds like he's killing someone, but I can assure you he's already eaten something and everyone is going to get out of this house alive. Titanium buff. Okay. You can tell your kids, please keep in mind that I'm filming. You can tell your dog the same, but he won't listen. Oh, God. I promise you, after this is done, my entire workplace will look different from when it began. So, Sennelier 535. This is a PY35. Cadmium yellow. I don't like cadmiums. And there's some separation here. So now I need to stir the paint in the pan. So this is why I have the little wooden skewers. And this is also when you have to be careful you don't get too much paint on your hands, because cadmium is not really a very nice substance. Your body apparently doesn't do too well on cadmium. But try to just do this with half pan and not contaminate your hands. It's impossible. Okay. Right. So, whoops. It's so wet and it's so sticky. This is what I don't really like about cadmium, that it's so opaque in comparison with my favorite colors. But I needed to have, for mixing purposes, I needed to have a cool yellow. So, well, I allowed it to be in my set anyway. Right. So, PY154 is a Rembrandt color, Azo Yellow, light, which is a very beautiful mid-yellow. And here I doubted very much. I think it was PY128 that I wanted to go for first. But then when I did some mixing, I found that I preferred these colors. I preferred this color to the other one I had chosen. So I used to pour my pans really chock full, but I encountered quite a few problems when I did that, because sometimes it would be so full that my hands would get really dirty. So here there's an Azo Yellow that I had already poured, and this is the one by Daniel Smith, and I like it very much because I think the Daniel Smith goes beautifully into the depths of the dark brownish yellow, but also when you dilute it, it becomes this really almost cool, lighter version of yellow. And of the paints I had, the shift was biggest between Daniel Smith and was biggest in the brand Daniel Smith, which makes it most versatile for me. So that's why I used it. And I've already ran out of this one, so I need to buy a new one of that, which I will. Tomorrow I will order, because now I can order some paint again. Always good when you have an excuse to do so, right? So now I'm going to pour a really strange color. This is going to be the first time ever that I use it. I mean, I think I've only swatched this one. That's the only thing I've ever done with it. And I filled a whole pan for the Sennelier box, because I filled a whole pan of every color for a huge box of Sennelier. And it's a really weird color, I have to say. I hope it didn't shift. Oh, yeah, it did separate a bit. I already thought so for some reason. It's quite a strange, it's like a Naples Yellow, but single pigment, PBR 24. Not every paint manufacturer does this one. I think it's quite rare, at least I'd never heard of that before. And at first I didn't want to use it, but someone said to me, you really need a Naples Yellow. I thought, do I? And then I mixed, and then I thought, oh, I might need it indeed, especially because it's a single pigment color. Because the reason why I didn't have it in my paint set was because normally Naples Yellow is a multi-pigment paint. It's a convenience mix. Usually it's also very dull because there is always a white in there, and I don't like dull paints. Recently I purchased a set of Lucas 1862, and I really don't like them because they are so dull. They do have really, you know, saturated colors, but they dry up so dull, as if they've been mixed with water, and they're very opaque. So I'm being very clumsy here, and this always happens. It's not because I'm filming, but it just always happens. It's just really teeny tiny Lego-like stuff, you know, so things go wrong in that department. PBR 24. It's an orangey kind of Naples Yellow. I think I'm gonna like this one. Okay. Now, moving on to a heavyweight, PO71 by Core. I mean, this is a very psychedelic orange, transparent. And I really liked, whoops, the tube's got to stop pouring paint. I stopped squeezing, but I have a very hyperactive tube here, and I'm trying to squeeze some back, but trying to keep my tubes as clean as I can to prevent, you know, to prevent it from shutting forever. And now, as you can see, the paint is sticking out because this was a very paste-like paint. So what I do then is I wet my brush and I simply tap it to flatten it, because if you don't, it will stick to the lid of your box, and I don't want that to happen. So there's a lot of orange on here now, and I really don't want that. Not now, because I've also seen that I've spoilt some paint on here, and I don't want that. I want to try and prevent that because it's a rather active pigment. So, all right, PO71. Ah! Ugh. Like I said, this is always a messy thing, you know. I've never poured paint without coming out of it, you know, looking as if I've been in a battle and I lost it to all those colors. It's like it's been what's that Indian festival called? Holi? Where people are covered with colored powders. That's what I look like when I'm done, probably. PO71. So let's see. Did you see how little paint? Well, you get to see quite a bit of my workplace. So probably be very hard to see exactly what I'm doing, but I tap just so lightly on that paint and so much is coming on. And this one seems to be the brightest of the... I also had Rembrandt and Schminke Horadam, but I prefer this one. Miriam, that's so useful to know. I've only heard a few YouTubers talking about Lucas and nobody mentioned them being dull. I trust your opinion. Maybe that's why they're not expensive. Oh, absolutely. I recorded a video for my Patreon, for my patrons. I bought a big set of Lucas and I hate it so much I'm not even going to give it to someone as a present. I think it's that bad. And right now, I realize that somebody might be listening who's got the paint and who likes it, or who bought the paint and can't afford another set. And I want to say, I'm so sorry. This is, of course, my personal opinion, but I really regret buying that set. I have to say, I prefer transparent paints that are luminous and vibrant. But the Lucas paint, it's like painting with gouache and like going back to the Gansai Tambi. Some people really love that paint and hated me for saying something bad about that, but I also don't like that paint. Well, let me specify that further and say I don't like that kind of paint as a watercolor. And Lucas is the 1862 is said to be an artist grade paint. Well, I'm so sorry. They may contain pigments that you won't find in student quality paints, but I'm telling you for sure Van Gogh is much better and will give you a better watercolor experience than the Lucas will. And I dare go as far as to say that all the art that I looked up online that's been made with Lucas, you know, that it's just I think that those pictures have been digitally manipulated. Or what is also an issue these days is when you're taking photographs of your work with your camera, is that the settings in your camera already make the colors saturated, contrast, a lot of HDR. Is it HDR? So there's a lot of effect already just in your camera, even when you don't do anything, when you just use the automatic settings. So, and the reviews online about Lucas, I've been online for a long time, right? And I've been reviewing, and I am very much aware that I have to be mindful of anyone affiliated. But I've been fooled. I have to say it, and I feel stupid for it, because the positive reviews that I read about Lucas, unfortunately, later when I had made a color chart of the set, and I hated it as much as I did, and I regretted spending any money on it, I went back to the reviews and I started to look into it in depth, and I found out that these people are in fact affiliated either to, well, no, in all cases, I think to a retailer for the Lucas brand, and that really must have influenced their opinion about the paints. Which is why I don't do affiliations, because the moment I do an affiliation, I can't say anything bad about it. How can I do that? So I don't want to work that way. This isn't work. This is fun. This is just me sharing, you know, my own pigment madness, my paint madness. So, hello, Dutch Nature Art. Oh, so you're from the Netherlands as well. Where in the Netherlands are you? Dutch Nature Art. I love nature art. I love nature. I just said to who was it again? Kukatsunjan. She's in Yukon, and I just said that I would love to go to Yukon to just be in nature, because we have such small patches of nature here. So this is P048. Now, I needed time to deliberate inserting this one, yes or no. It's been a battle, I can tell you. Because, let me show you. Let me see how many. I made a big mixing chart of that. I hope I can still find it. Do I even have it here? Yes, I do have it here. Okay. There should be another. There should be 3 of them. Hold on, going through them once more. No. Huh? Oh, like I said, well, I've been a bit chaotic in the past few days, and here is another one. So I've been struggling with my earth tones, and I just love earth tones. I love painting nature. This is a painting I finished. I have to. There is a big delay between showing you something. This is one that I finished last week, and right now I am working on. I have to be careful not to tip over my. I've been working on this one, which I'm not sure I like yet. Something went wrong with the composition of this one. Oh, this is flooding. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to. There is some. Yes, now I think you can see it better. The light was a bit bright here. But I need a lot of earth tone, so this is going to need another, I don't know how many layers, 10, 20, I don't know how many. But for me, the earth tones are probably the most important because of all the other colors. I do use them as well, but usually toned down a lot, or not toned down, but just little accents in this kind of work, that is. So, but then there is just so many really pretty colors. So I've been comparing stuff like, for instance, this is the a raw umber from Rembrandt, and the only reason why I didn't choose it because there's obviously a brightener in there. So the color, this is the same color as that one. So the color is really lovely. It's soft, it's gentle, and I really loved it. But because the brightener is in there, I was doubting a bit. So I chose the Daniel Smith German greenish umber. Because I think the tones are the same, only it's a little bit more saturated, this one. Whereas this has probably been mixed with some sort of brightener. There's paint on my hands. That's something you have to be really, really careful about, or else you'll contaminate your other colors. But anyway, so, and I did more comparisons because I was doubting very much whether I should use the P048, which is an orange pigment that mixes so well with the PY150 for a quinacridone gold. I personally am totally smitten for painting any tree with the PR101 by Rembrandt, and I definitely wanted that in my set. But one of my viewers said, Mandy, try the burnt sienna instead for mixing purposes. So I thought, okay, let's mix the two. And I did, but I forgot where my mixes are now. Because I don't know if I've got, well, these are the PR101 mixes. And what happened is that for some reason, they all turned out a little bit dull and grayish. So, oh, here it is. So in here you can see them compared side by side, if you can see them well. Here is the PBR7, which is the burnt sienna, and all the mixes seem to have more body. So this washes out a bit. It feels like it's not really alive. It feels more dead to me, whereas this felt more alive. So I decided to let go of one of this is the 378, my favorite color in the Rembrandt collection. Or let's put it differently. In every paint box I've owned, this color was in there, and it was always the first pan to, because this is what I used a lot on the trunks of my trees. And well, for hair, well, basically for anything, I use this one. But now that I dove into it so intensely, and I was trying to look for the best options to create an ultimate set, I found I had to kill a darling and put in the PBR7 instead. That's a hard thing to do. I'm still recovering. Okay, PO48. That got in. Oh, hold on, because here is the PO48. So I was doubting whether to include that or not, but I chose to include it because what I love is because it's so transparent and so bright, is that I really loved it with the granulating pigments. And I thought that could be interesting in the future. So I definitely wanted that in there. Not to mention the wonderful friendship it's got with PY 150. Oh, okay. I'm trying to clean the edge of my pen with, smudging it even more. Yeah. Well, okay. So PO48. Yes, that's another one in without smudging everything. I chose Core because I got it from the High Chroma set, and I love that set. I think of all the paint sets that's ever been produced with, you know, those specialty collections, I like the High Chroma set by Core most of all. Is it called High Chroma? Hold on, let me look. I've got it right here because it's the only set that I always keep at hand. Sometimes, you know, to fiddle around with. Oh, this is all my cores, but what was in there was a Quinacridone gold, a green gold, the transparent pure orange, magenta, dioxazine purple, and sorry, the PO48. And the PG50 is in there here, this one. And that was really lovely because all these colors, you know, mixing the dioxazine purple, that's also going to be in my set, with the I think it is the PO48. You mix that, you get this really lovely transparent brown. That's really gorgeous, brown gray. So this, like, if you ever need to buy yourself a present, and if you like watercolor, and if you don't know Core yet, I can really recommend this set because it's beautiful. I mean, if you love color, if you love playing around with it and making color charts, this is seriously a recommendation. Charlotte, you like Lucas? Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope I don't offend you when I say I really don't like it. It's not, you know, I'm not right. It's my personal, well, preference probably, and so that's the thing, you know. When I started out reviewing, I thought I was just sharing my passion. But then as time went on, people started, you know, requesting things, sending me paints, and I began to realize after a while, and also after some discussions that arose on my platform, on my YouTube, that sometimes people were really hurt by my opinion. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm not just sharing a review as in saying what I like about the paints or, you know, certain recommendations, but I'm also hurting people sometimes by giving my opinion, which I don't mean to do. But at the same time, you know, when you do reviews, you're making a comparison. I think partly it's just for me a really good opportunity to share my own quest for getting to know all the pigments and my own fascination with them. And on the other hand, after a while, people sometimes begin to look at you as if you know a lot about it. And maybe I do, but not, this is not, the truth that I'm saying. I'm honest in what I say, but at the same time, people can experience something very differently. It all depends on the frame of reference. It depends on the techniques they use. It depends on, well, what did you grow up with art-wise? I mean, I grew up with Rembrandt, which is a it's a very transparent brand. It's very vivid, and also it's got great flow. So that's what I learned to do. So the moment you give me Magello or Kuretake Gansai Tambi, or you give me the Lucas, there is hardly any flow in those paints. I'm going to hate it. Is the paint necessarily bad because of that? Not per se, but it is a distinction that people will want to know about. So it's always kind of difficult to. I'm trying to find words sometimes to say something as if, on one hand you have to be clear, and this is what I think, and this is why. So you have to say what you have to say, and on the other hand, you also don't want to. You don't want to hurt anyone. You don't want to offend anyone. You don't want to be an arrogant snob, which of course I am in a way, because I am working with artist-grade pigments. So my frame of reference is rather snobbish in that sense. Yeah. So Charlotte, I hope you don't feel hurt by what I just said. It certainly is nothing personal. And I also have to say, and that's also, I did record a review, I just didn't post it online because I don't know, maybe I should. But I just don't really like posting negative things in that way. But I can imagine that there are certain techniques that you that Lucas will be fine for. I think people who do hand lettering will find Lucas pretty damn fantastic, to be honest, because it's a bit more opaque. Irit loves Naples Yellow, reddish and cobalt teal, big twos and cheap. Irit Landgraf, right? Is that what she called? Same pigments as other brands. Maybe the pans are different. Oh, bye. Yeah. Well, I can imagine, the Naples Yellow and Cobalt Teal are always opaque. It doesn't matter what brand you choose. Those are already opaque. So why not buy a cheaper version of it that's opaque by nature? So I can imagine that you would choose to buy your opaque pigments from Lucas if they are. I can compare them once. I can compare them one day and show you if they are the same, because they have these 24 milliliter tubes, right? And they're super affordable if you go for it. So if they're just as good, why not? So maybe I should look at it that way. I will try. I will see if it's in the set. I don't even remember at this point. Isarel Watercolors. Yes, Isarel is beautiful. I made a review about that a long time ago, but it's very expensive. So even though I really like them, even if somebody had said to me, you can only paint with Isarel for the rest of your life, I would have been perfectly okay. But they are just too expensive in comparison to any other brand I have. So, and the other brands were just as good. Yes, Lucas. Lucas feels like chalk to me, honestly. Yes, well, that's what I felt too. When you lay them down on the paper, they look bright and vivid, and you feel happy, and it's like, wow, they're just, jumping off the paper towards you like fireworks. But then when they dry, it's like in all the colors. I did a comparison. Maybe I can do that. Let's see if I have it. Oops. It's good you didn't see this. It would be a good laugh, but let me take a look what I have here. Oh, hold on. I'm going to show you anyway. Hold on. Now that we are talking about this, I might as well show you what my problem with Lucas was. So if you see this, this is the color chart that I have. And indeed, there is a PB28 in here, which is a cobalt teal, and that is really nice, I have to say. But that's always a very opaque color. So I wouldn't mind using this one if it behaves properly in other areas. So it needs flow for me. That's also a very important property of paints that I need. But when you look at this, so there is a lot of light on this, right? So it's flooding a little bit. So this is not really saying anything. But if I look at this on its own, it makes me kind of happy, no problem. But then, and sometimes, by the way, you can see there is a swatch in two halves. That's where I compared it to an old paint by Lucas. And that's where you see a rather big difference between the older paint and the newer paint. This one is not so much a difference, but this one is a difference, as is that one. And here is a difference, and there was one other color, I think, where there was a big difference. Yeah, here in the permanent yellow light, there's a difference. Right, so, but now I'll show you something else. Because they did not behave like artist-grade paints that I know. They don't behave like Horadam, Daniel Smith, Rembrandt, Core, Sennelier. So those are the 5 brands that I now mention. They don't even behave like Aquarius by Roman Schmal. Roman Schmal is also very transparent, lovely. I love the paints. But anyway, so what the problem with Lucas is I compared Lucas here to Van Gogh, which is a student quality. And I did that because I had a feeling it doesn't really live up to the promise of being an artist-grade paint. And if you look closely, so these two, please don't look at them, because by accident, this Dioxazine Purple touched the magenta right beside it and contaminated this swatch. So forget about these two, okay? But all the other colors you can say something about. The 5th row is Lucas. 2nd row is Van Gogh. And I only compared the colors that have the exact same pigments in them, right? So there's no foul play in here. I compared it with whatever they said was in the tube. So, and here is this row is Lucas, this row is Van Gogh, this Lucas, and that's Van Gogh. I don't know if it shows really well on camera. I'm going to try and bring it a little bit closer. I'm going to wait until I can see it more clearly now. Yes. But when you look at the paints, you can see that this one looks a lot like that one, only when there is a little bit of white gouache mixed in. The same applies here. And I tell you, I did my best to take as much pigment on my brush as with the Van Gogh. There is no foul play in that, but everywhere you can see the colors are lighter, and not lighter because they are not saturated enough, but because there is a whitener in there. Look at the Dioxazine Purple. This is a comparison between lilac and dioxazine. So, and it applies to every color. The difference is smallest here, but all the colors, they just are less intense. Is that bad necessarily? No, it's not necessarily bad, but it's something that struck me because I know the other colors. And the Van Gogh is only $100 at this moment for 48 colors, and the Lucas about 150. So if I had to choose a set now, I would choose the Van Gogh over the Lucas, even though it's a student quality, a student grade versus an artist grade, because I sincerely think the Lucas artist grade only is called an artist grade because it contains pigments like the PB28, which you will never find in student grade colors. But quality wise, I would not say that this is really an artist grade, I think, in my opinion. One other problem that I had with this paint is the flow that I just said. I grew up using watercolors that flowed enormously. That's what I learned to work with. So that's what I like best. So what I did is in these circles, I wet them very much and I dropped a drop of diluted paint in them. And as you can see, There is hardly any flow at all, which is, it behaves like gouache, and it feels like gouache when you're finished, because it looks more velvety than watercolors will. So it doesn't make them bad, but it's something I think people should know before they buy this. And it makes me very sad that some reviews online say that it's artist quality and it's comparable to the top brands, which I don't find to be true. And I think people are going to be disappointed if they buy that set. Okay, Lucas. What brand is your P048? Core. It's golden core. And I thought it was, I really love it. It looks very dark here, but it's really beautiful. It's from the high chroma set or chroma set. It's not on the box, but I think I threw away the, let me see. Maybe it's on the leaflet here. No, it isn't. It's golden core and it's just really beautiful. Right, so what else do we have? They are different. Yes, Charlotte, they are different. Exactly. You could use them side by side as well, you know. It's they are different, definitely. Van Gogh uses the same pigment as Rembrandt with more binder, I think. Yes, although student grade pigments are always the cheaper pigments, right? The chemical pigments, so it's always hues and but the Van Gogh are truly, in my opinion and experience, are the best student grade paints around. Absolutely. And if you want to go to the cheaper artist grade paints that I find are really worth the name artist grade, look into Roman Schmoll Aquarius. They are lovely. The only reason they are not in my ultimate set is because they don't sell tubes and they don't sell half pans. But whoops, sorry, I said I was clumsy when I was filming, but this is half of the set, and this is the other half that I've got. And I did paint with them a lot because I got a lot of paints to test straight after I got this, but I really, really love this paint. I think it's high quality and it's more affordable, at least over here, than brands like Schminke Horadem, etc. So that's a big recommendation too. Haven't used Isarel. Jackson's got special prices on now. If you go back in my video list, you can see me do a live swatching of Isarel, and I really love that paint. I really do. I can recommend those as well. And especially, you know, I don't know where you live, but if the shipping rates are not dramatic, then, you know, I would certainly give my thumbs up for a try. So this is PR255 by Rembrandt. It's a permanent red medium, a very bright red that I hardly use. I forgot to pour the pan, didn't I? My God. Multitasking is an art in itself, right? Well, I have to say, this is no excuse, but I'm really, really tired. I woke up with a migraine this morning, so it's not completely vanished from my system yet. And it always makes my head feel a little bit cloudy and foggy for the rest of the day and sometimes the day after. Okay, so choking this one in. Whoops. Okay, and now PR175 is Daniel Smith Deep Scarlet, And I chose it because I did a very long search for a light, fast alizarin crimson-like color. That is a difficult quest, man. That's something that's just, oh, that blew my socks off. That was hard work, but I ended up finding that this one, the Deep Scarlet, it's not alizarin crimson like, not so much, but at least it goes into that direction. And yeah, I really like that color a lot. So I put everything so far away. Okay, so I bought this this box. I think it's made in China, and I think it comes from China, but I ordered it from Amazon. And when you have these boxes are manufactured in China that are without a brand, the pans are usually thinner, and the boxes also sometimes vary a little bit in size. Sometimes it's just millimeters, but sometimes it's sometimes you need to see if you can fit in 13 colors next to each other, which is what I always do. I try to cram it full. Try to put in as many pigments as I can. This is a beautiful, almost oxblood red, which is a color traditionally used a lot in the Netherlands. It's beautiful. It's a deep brownish like red. PR 255 by Rembrandt. Let's see. Uh-oh. I was lusting after cobalt teal for ages. Also some small grays and shifting mixes. Yes, they are lovely. That's absolutely a recommendation. Your video set my hair on fire. Oh, sorry. I tend to do that. My videos tend to kill piggy banks and wallets and cause marital problems over finances. And there's husbands threatening women that if they buy one more palette of colors, they will have to choose between the husband and the paints. And sorry. Hordan, Rembrandt, Windsor and Newton Pro. Yes, Windsor and Newton Pro is, well, I own this. It's a John Pike. This is all Windsor and Newton, but this is all vintage paints. And few of these pigments are available anymore. And it also contains a lot of very rare pigments that are no longer available at all anywhere in the world. So this is really lovely. I just hardly use them because it's such a big palette, which is a rubbish reason, of course, but that is at the time I thought it would be really handy to put it in here because somebody sent this palette to me as a gift and I didn't know what to do with it until I could get these paints from a friend who no longer used them, and I thought I'd stick them in here, and they look pretty. But that's all. But having said that, there is one or two, at least one Windsor and Newton color in my set. So, but I would love to expand. I would love to try more of their colors as well. Does Rembrandt have high flow? Oh, absolutely. If you like high flow, go for Rembrandt. It's really, I promise you, no color is going to feel bad. Of course, quinacridones are a bit, when you use them, when you don't dilute them very much, quinacridones are a little bit jelly-like sometimes, but that happens in every brand. But the Rembrandt's really good flow-wise, absolutely. Super flow, extreme flow comes from core, but the flow in that paint is so hard to control that many people don't like it. I like it, but for some techniques. Brain fog is annoying. Oh, absolutely. Yes, it is. Especially from migraines, because then you feel that it's something neurological going on in your brain. It's like your brain is really literally hurt and needs some time to come back to life. Real alizarin crimson is lovely. Oh, it absolutely is. I actually own real alizarin crimson, and I wanted to have a good alternative. But let me see. Hold on. This is the real alizarin crimson, which is lovely. So after a long search, I ended up choosing a Daniel Smith permanent alizarin crimson containing PR177, PV19, PR149, until I found out that PR149 was not very light fast. And then one of my viewers said, neither is the P177. I was gutted, I can tell you. I was absolutely gutted. So I will have to make mixes, because the real alizarin crimson is beautiful, but well, the problem is it won't hold for a long time. Sad business, is that right? Don't you think that somewhere in some mad laboratory, some professor would be able to succeed in finding a really good permanent alternative? But the reds were the most difficult color for my set to choose, I have to say, because reds are just a really complicated affair. Red is such a hard color to well, where light fastness is involved. This is not really a speedy business, is it? I never promised you that, though. So, right, PR254. And I forgot to mention, it's Rembrandt, by the way. And it is permanent red deep. And now looking at the order that I chose for my paints, I can see that it seems a little bit crazy that I put the PR175 between the PR254 and the 255. Well, on the upside of it, then I won't get confused very quickly, right? Because how often does it happen to you that you think you're painting with one color and then you accidentally tap another pen and then whoops. It happens to me sometimes. Right. PR178. Big tube. This is a big tube. Big tube. I like it. Rembrandt's got big tubes too. Makes the paint more affordable. Brands are different and sometimes require their own technique. That's absolutely true. I was told I really didn't like the Kuretake Gansai Tambi. Go look, but then you'll see people were really angry with me for giving a bad review on that paint, because people love it. It's a cult, I think. So that was like I didn't know what I was toying with when I did that review. But anyway, people later said to me, well, this paint was created for certain Asian techniques. And I said, okay. So then I better understood why people really love it. So, yes, it's true. Every brand's just, sometimes certain techniques require a different brand. What colors do you think are best from Rembrandt? That is just so hard to say. Samuel? How do you pronounce your name? That's a little bit hard to type, right? Well, I just said the one color I've used most is PR101, the pigment, number 378 by Rembrandt. That's a brown tone that I've used most in all the sets that I have. So it's always been the first color that needed replacing, that needed filling, because I really, really love that brown tone because it's so transparent and so deep, and so it's so warm. It's a warm brown, a very warm brown. I love it. What I really like in their new, their upgraded paints is the covering white. That's going to be the last one. It's number 106. It's a PW6, and it's so beautifully really white because Sennelier also has got a really great covering white, but it's much more Chinese white, so it's a little bit creamy white. So, and Rembrandt's got a really perfect white. So I'm not chucking that in yet because the corners, oh no, the outside corners are doable. Hold on. Ah, that went in easy. Haha. It'll be such an accomplishment if I didn't land one, if I don't land one of these pans onto my clothes, I tell you. Is anyone here very clumsy as well? We'll try them. Still have a lot of watercolors in stock. Yes, the husband can go if you treat me like that. Yeah. Oh, my husband will watch out to say anything like that. Don't touch my paint, guys. Don't touch my paint. No, you know what the thing is? Sometimes when it's very busy or when I don't feel that great, I sometimes don't paint a lot. And then at one given time, my husband and my kids will say, maybe you would like to go painting for a while? Oh. They love it that I have this paint because it's going to keep their mummy really happy. Okay, and now onto the Quinacridone Coral by Daniel Smith. Now, this has been a battle. This is the PR209, and this is I'm gutted because I actually think there is a more beautiful alternative. Let me see if I've got it. Yes, I do. This is it. This is Schminke Horadam, German brand, really good. Schminke Horadam, and it's just really, really beautiful. No, this one. This is PR207, and the color is slightly more warm red. The Quinacridone Coral is slightly more pinkish. So I've been going back and forth between, you know, choosing which of the two I was going to put in my set, because I really wanted to have I said Daniel Smith here, and that's not true. It's Schminke Horadam. So it's this color versus that one, and probably on screen the difference is minute. But when the Quinacridone color, sorry. The Quinacridone Coral is a very warm pink, and still the PR207 is slightly warmer. So I wanted to go for that. But then again, in the mixes, I found out, and not just in the mixes, but also in the color balance of my palette, I found out that the coral fitted better. So this was another darling I sacrificed to Daniel Smith. Oh God, and now I have to do something scary. How am I going to do this? Because I need to find a way to squeeze the last drop of paint out of this miniature tube. And this is a little tube that came to me from the United States. Well, of course, all Daniel Smith comes from the United States, but this was brought to me by one of my YouTube viewers. We met up, really, in the marketplace here in town. How great is that? She came to visit the Netherlands and she said, do you want to meet up? So my kids were like, Mum, what if she's mad? I said, if she's mad and she's going to do something crazy, she's not going to travel the world to do something crazy first. Anyway, this is going to be a challenge, but I'm gonna see if I can. I have a paint squeezer. I bought that once. It's a little device that you can use to squeeze tubes, but the sorry thing about it is it doesn't work. Hold on, I'm going to see if this helps. So this is like one of these, and I think maybe my finger is going to get stuck. No, this is not going to work. I need something. I need pliers. Those are the only thing. No, you know what? I'm not gonna waste your time. I'll look into that tomorrow to squeeze out the last milliliter. I'm gonna leave this in full sight and get out a set of pliers and just start with see, this one is eager to come out. This one needs to be painted straight away. Oh, there is a lot. That happens to me a lot with the Daniel Smith. You squeeze and nothing comes out. There is a lot of air in the in the tubes. I had one tube once that more than half of the tube was air. I think, no, I don't think it's in my set now, but that was a bit sad. Okay. Samuel. Okay, Samuel. Hi, Samuel. I wonder if Schminke's Ruby Red Deep is comparable to Rembrandt's Deep. I wouldn't know if it's light fast too. If all is well, all the colors in my set are light fast. I made a really, really big effort to go for light fast alone. Please don't tell me one of my colors is not light fast or I'll have to start again. I can't let that go, you know. It's the moment I know that it's not really light fast, I get like in this sort of stress-like state, and I need to find a good alternative. I was into pigments so much that I even dreamt about it. I dreamt about my looking for pigments. It's like when you have a new job. First night you dream about the job, right? When your attention's been focused so intensely. There's no core paint with just PO48. Isn't there? Oh, I think you may be right. I think I am mistaken. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, so sorry. I made a mistake in writing on my, my foggy brain. This is not called the PO48. It's Rembrandt 229. It's Quinacridone Orange. Sorry, my bad. So I've also got a mistake on here. Oh, no. Oh, I did not make a mistake. Oh my God, this is funny. Look, here, the PO71 is core, transparent pure orange. It says here, can you see that? I'm going to try and bring it closer to the camera. And here it says PO48Q.OR, but it doesn't mean core, it means Quinacridone Orange by Rembrandt, number 229. Sorry, I made you look. It's Rembrandt, number 229, and its name is Quinacridone Orange. I'm sorry, guys. I told you I have a brain fog. The thing is, if I had time, I would have done this pouring tomorrow evening. Unfortunately, I don't have the time tomorrow because I have an online meeting planned. So I had to do it now. But you're going to have to bear with me, and you have to just, don't be mad. It's not intentionally. So moving to PV19, which is a really lush pink. This is also Rembrandt 367, and it's gorgeous. It's a quinacridone pink, no, quinacridone rose reddish. And I really love that color. It's vibrant as a quinacridone should be. It lights up the place, just like PY 150. If you use that paint, it just lights up the place. It's like they're luminous. And I really prefer luminous colors, even when I tone them down, because even when you tone them down with any other color, you can still see the luminosity in it somehow. That gives this color just a lovely, lovely, I think it's one of the quinacridones, and the PY 150 are so lovely to have for mixes, because they really change the character of any paint you mix them with. Right, PR 122. This is a Schminke Horridam. It's there we go. Okay. A big tube by Schminke. I like that very much, big tubes. because some people think I have enough paint to last a lifetime, but I use a lot of paint. I like to work with intense colors, and I like to paint a lot. So, oops. This is also a very luminous one. This is a purple magenta, but this is also a Quinacridone, I think. PR 122. Super lovely. And it's a little, you know, that's always with Quinacridones, a bit jelly-like when you paint with them. But if you want to make a really intense layer of this, you would probably layer it anyway. Yes, got an accident here. Oh, God. I knew this was going to happen. So I might need to turn around the towel. Yeah. Good enough to continue. At the end of this evening, I will look like I lost it from a color cannon. So PV14. Now, this is a color I really doubted that I should keep in there. But I went for it anyway. It's not a color that I use ever, or used ever. When I started mixing with it, there were some interesting mixes though. And I found myself curious about this. So I promised that once it was in my set, this is by Rembrandt, 539, Cobalt Violet. And I promised myself that once it was in my set, I was going to give myself some time to work with it. It's not an intense color, right? But that's the thing why I put it in there. If you want to look for an ultimate set, it's okay to have really lush and vibrant colors in there. But you also need something to counter that, for some more natural tones. Yep. PV 55. Oh, let me just read for a bit. Schminke Super Granulation series are lovely. Yes, I've got that. I've got those too, but they are not going to be in here because they are all convenience mixes. But I've got quite a few of them, and I like them. But Daniel is a must-have in your palette. Yeah, I can imagine. It's a really unique color. You're wondering about the Schminke one. This is the only one you can find, unlike Rembrandt here. Windsor Newton Sanguine looked very similar to Alizarin Crimson. Okay. I'm going to write that down. I am interested. Windsor and Newton Sanguine LE. What is LE? I'm going to look into that. Red is a difficult color. Yes, absolutely. If you've ever seen a live video of mine before, you will know this. But one day, I decided to paint my walls with PV55, I think it was. No. What's it? We're going to get it. No, I'm not. You know. Anyway, with a violet color. And it's really super gorgeous. The only thing is it needed 8 layers of wall paint before it was covered because there was a quinacridone in there, pigment, and it's just impossible. Is this a PV55? Hold on. 593. Yes. Okay. But it was impossible to cover the you know, you would see you would keep seeing the brush strokes no matter what you did. So I needed 8 layers of paint. So we spent a fortune on that paint before we got it covered. So when it was finished, it looked pretty though. But it had another downside, and that was that mosquitoes can hide against that color like you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't find them. So I got a lot of mosquito bites from then on, which is when, after about a year or so, I got myself a very big bucket of white paint. And I went over that room, and I'll never ever have that color on my Uh-oh. I'm just seeing something horrible here. I might have to wait with this one. I think I made a mistake in my research. This is PV 23. Which looks beautiful, but is not light fast, it says here. Huh? I thought it was. I looked into it. But here it says, no, light fastness 3. Huh? Am I now mistaken? What is this? Dioxazine Purple. Dioxazine Purple is light fast, isn't it? But I saw the 2. Or is it the price range? Hold on. I have to read the code. Now I need my glasses. I'm getting old. Where are my reading glasses? Oh. Now I can't find my glasses. Anyway, light fastness 3, series 3. I saw 2 somewhere. Oh, here. This is strange. Here it says 2 pluses. That's light fastness, right? The pluses on the tubes. Guys, help me out here for a moment. If the pluses are on the tubes, it means it's light fast, no? Hold on, I want to look this up because I'm not going to put it in my palette if it's not light fast. Okay, so I've got my Rembrandt brochure. 548. Here it says 2 pluses, and then here it says light fastness 3. What do the pluses mean then? Am I mistaking myself all the time? Or maybe my brain fog is getting so big. Where is the explanation of the website says 2 pluses, yes, but it also says light fastness 3. Can you see if these pluses really refer to the light fastness Feline? Can you look for me? Because I don't see the explanation here. Or can someone look on Handprint or Artist Creation? Kimberly Crick undoubtedly mentions this violet tone in her light fastness tests. Now, I don't see any explanation of it. Now, let's take the Horadam PP23. Oh my God, no, this also says the Dioxazine Purple here by Schminke also says light fastness only 2 out of 4 stars. I think I made a mistake there. Maybe. Now there's one other thing I can do. So let's go and look here. Dioxazine. Where is the Dioxazine Purple? Cobalt Violet, probably. Not rated. It says light fastness 1, not rated. Well, that's not very helpful, is it? Cobalt Violet, yeah, it's PV23. It says not rated. Not rated means no, it's not light fast, but we don't want to say, oh my God. I'm not going to put that in here. I'm going to keep this out. That's strange. Well, I better know it now. So strange I haven't noticed before with all my research. But let's get on with it. Let's leave this one out. I'm going to look into that a little later. Schminke Horridam. Now we're going to a very mysterious color, people. This is a pigment-less pigment. So this is Cobalt Violet U. Doesn't have a pigment number. And it's called strontium phosphate. Now you have to know the first 5 letters, stront, literally translated, is shit in Dutch. So this is like, it's already laughable before you put it into the pan. Okay, I know, bad sense of humor, but my kids laughed over it. And look, there is separation because there's binder coming out before the color. So this one needs to be stirred. But it doesn't have a pigment number because I don't know why. But it was a lovely color, so I'm going to get this one in. And now I have to be so careful that I don't color the wrong swatch. Can you believe I actually chucked in a color that is not light fast? Maybe I just assumed a little bit too much because I've had it in so many tubes and so many sets. Maybe I just assumed that it would be light fast. Lazy. I didn't check it well enough. But I'm going to put the empty pan in here. And then we're moving towards the blues. Let me see. Yes, light fastness in Horridam is only 2 out of 5. Out of 5 stars even. Thank you. Yes, that's poor. PV62. What's PV62? What's PV62? Is that... PV62 is what? Samuel, can you tell me? Oh, Cobalt Violet U from Horridam. Yes, exactly. I thought I read that somewhere, that it got the color code PV62. But when I looked it up again this afternoon, I couldn't find it. Oh, limited edition. Aha. Thank you, Charlotte. Core has an extensive blog post on PV23. As a light fast ratings from ACM Old, Core assigned high light fastness to PV23. I wonder how, is he called Bruce McAvoy from Handprint, what he says about this pigment. I can't open my website now because I'm watching the chat, but can anyone check that out for me, please? Or for us, not just for me. They recently released a pigment number. Oh, that's great. Thank you. So PV62. That's really nice. You want to know the brand? Okay, the PV55 is Rembrandt 593. 593. That's a really, really beautiful warm purple. It's gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to write down that the Schminke Horadam is PV62. Thank you. It's confirmation. I read it somewhere, and when I looked it up again, I couldn't find it. So, okay, right. Lapis Lazuli. One of the, I love this color because it's so, I think I forgot to mix my, the purple, didn't I? I'm sorry, guys. I need to mix this one before I pour the next one. Yeah, there is some separation of the binder and the paint. There are some brands that really have a problem with this. And then it also happens to some colors. Chromium oxide colors were really bad last time I poured pans. Okay. PV23, and now this one. Yes. Okay. Good. Oh, can you believe that? I literally plunged my fingertip into the Quinacridone Coral. What's that with me in a Quinacridone Coral day? It's a Quinacridone Coral. Sorry, bad sense of humor. That's what happens when you get tired, right? You're going to laugh at the stupidest things. Oh, well. Varying light fastness depending on brand. Okay. Is that what, Charlotte, is that what Bruce McAvoy says? Because then I'll just chuck out the Rembrandt because they're only light fastness 2 out of 3 or 4, I think. I'm going to look for another one. One that's better. I've never had problems with it though. Have you? I've used it for years now. I've never noticed it to be a color that fades or changes in color. Maybe I just assumed that there would never be any problems with that color, so that I didn't look it up. Okay, Lapis Lazuli. Oh. Now, takes a little work, but we'll get there in the end. I like this Lazuli for texture underpainting. So, because it's such a shy color, you can easily go over it, which is why it's in my set. Right, Lapis Lazuli. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, good. Oh my, I really prefer working with bigger pans. It's safer. Right, PV28. On handprint, PV23 has bad or terrible light fastness, depending on the hue, but core tests show otherwise. They even posted pictures of their samples. Oh, great. I think I might have core. Oh. Do I have core? Yes, no. Let me look. Look. I used to have it. It's here. That's it. That's the PV23. But apparently I ran out because the tube's no longer here. Oh no, it's here. Dioxazine Purple by Core. What does it say? It says light fastness not attributed. Or what's it called? NA. I think it's attributed or not. NA. The lapis and more Primitex are difficult to re-wet. Absolutely. You need to drop some water on that before you begin to paint. But I think it's worth it. At least for some of the techniques that I use, I really love them. Handprint tests are from 2004. Yes. I saw. Yeah, well, I have to get back. I'll put that right beside the Rembrandt, and I'm going to look into that. And, well, you know, the upside is if I can't put it into my set, I'll have to make a new color chart, but that's right. But then I can look for another pigment. So, because there is also a couple of other pigments I would have liked to use that I didn't put in there. So, Cobalt Blue. I love this. Seriously, this is the most beautiful Cobalt Blue I've ever seen. I hardly use Cobalt. Right. Rembrandt 506 is PB29, and that is very close in its character to Cobalt Blue PB28. And I decided I was going to go for a very distinct PB29, a deep and rich ultramarine, and I was going for a lovely, soft and tender Cobalt Blue, and I'm choosing Core in because the granulation is lovely, and it's just such a gentle and soft blue. I love this one. This one for me was better than the Rembrandt PB28 and the Sennelier. You can't see that now with lamplight. It's got no use trying to show you that. But also here, this is also the Core. And I loved the flow, and it's just tender. I loved it. I think it's the most beautiful Cobalt Blue I've ever seen. So pouring that one. It doesn't want to let go. This paint is a little afraid to be homesick in my set. Wants to stay in the tube. Okay. Yeah, that has to go right in there. My husband is watching a Dutch comedian on television right now, and that's a guy that makes really insane noises, and his style is very perverse. It's quite hard to ignore, so I better keep on talking. Right, cool Cobalt Blue. I love you. There you go. Yes. Oh, right. PB29. I chose the Rembrandt, like I said, the 503, which is French ultramarine, I think. You can check Core blog, just paint.org. Oh, yes, I will. I used to have a contact at Core. I don't remember his name. He's gone. He sent me some paint at the time, and at one point in time, they sent me a few colors that had big problems in the tubes, and we talked about that, and they would, they really appreciated my opinion about their paints, and they really did something with that. It's all my experience. I was honest in the things I said. It was all fair. And yeah, I really liked the Core brand. They were super friendly. Some brands, don't even bother to just, if you have questions or anything, some don't even it's just like you're heir to them. They think we don't need you. Well, they don't, but would be nice, if somebody that crazy about their colors would talk to them. And I contacted Lucas about an issue I had with the old set. I wanted to know the pigment numbers because at the time they were not on the tubes yet. So I contacted them and I said, "Can you tell me what the pigment numbers are?" And they couldn't. They had no idea because it's no longer owned by Lucas, I think. Now, if you reach out to Lucas, you are actually put through to Lyra in Germany. So I think the company's been taken over or sold, whatever you want to call it. And that sometimes leads to companies being a bit, I don't know. I think if a company stays in the family, people are really involved, Sometimes, when you're critical about something, owners get really angry with you because they work so hard on the product. And then you come along and you say, well, I don't like this or that. And it's like, well, so I was kind of expecting that from Lucas as well, but turned out not to be true. So I wanted so bad to include Prussian Blue until I read on Kim Crick's site that Prussian Blue is not light fast. So I chose In and Throne, which is a color I never use. It's also known as Delft Blue. And even though I come from the Netherlands, I've never used Delft Blue. But at least this is light fast. And, it's quickly a little bit of black mixed in, which is the reason why I chose the PBK 6, because I think that mixes in most beautifully with In and Throne or In and Throne. Sometimes it's called In and Throne, and sometimes it's called In and Throne. Well, and I like the indigo that comes out of that mixed in with just a tad of PG7. Gives me a Prussian blue that I like. So, right. That's why it took so long for me to compose the ultimate set, because now I wasn't just looking at colors I really loved, but I was looking at optimal versatility and light fastness and, properties. This set is going to make me work. It's going to make me mix like I never have before, because I have to. But I think that's good. That's how you get to know your pigments, right? Because the thing is, I've always been reviewing such huge amounts of paints, big sets, which is nice and everything to have big sets, but it can hold you back to have a very big set because it's going to take time to choose which colors you're going to use. If it weren't for my reviewing, I think I would, the most optimum set would be 24. I think this is already too much, but that's just, what's it called when your job makes you a bit crazy? Professional deformation. Is that what it's called? Hunt Steerway. Yes, Hunt Steerway is on TV now. Yeah, and you hear him too. Or maybe my husband put on a DVD. PB60. What? PB60? Yes, the In and Throne Blue is PB60 and is by Rembrandt 585. Where is it? Oh my God. I chucked it in here. Oh, here it is. It's PB60. In and Throne, whatever you want to call it. 585 by Rembrandt. Absolutely. And Prussian Blue is PB27, if I'm correct. And that's not light fast. Yes, PB27. And that's not light fast, and I'm gutted about it because I love that color so much. But you know what? Mixing in a little bit of the PB15 with the In and Throne, and maybe a little bit of black if you like. And then you also have Prussian Blue. Right, so Soda Light. I love Soda Light. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to... It worked, kind of. If you just push hard enough on a pan, you can actually push it in. Don't try this at home. It actually hurts. But I'm not letting you know that. Yes, I know. You shouldn't get pigment on your hands. I know. And it's all over the place now. I told you, at the end of this job, I'm going to look as if I've lost a battle. And, well, Okay, I won this one. It's in the pan. Right. So the light, it's so gorgeous. It's so delightful to use. So the light. My humor is getting better and better all the time, guys. Really. Promise you. As time wears on and as the fog in my brain gets bigger, you're getting the best of me. That's what one of my daughters once said to me. She said, "Is anyone watching you when you go live?" Yeah. But it's kind of fun watching real people, isn't it? I mean, there are some YouTubers I really like to see, and it's not even watercolor people. I tend to avoid them a bit. I sometimes like Teo. I like his reviews sometimes. I've only watched Quinec for this big research thing. But I'm avoiding watching reviews by other people because I don't want to be influenced by them. I want to give my honest opinion. And no, look, I should put it differently. I want to give you my personal experience without being influenced by anyone else. Right, PB15 by Rembrandt is number 583, and it's a fairly neutral pale blue. So, of course, it's excruciatingly powerful in color. And I really would like to ask manufacturers of this brand, please design a pale blue for me that granulates somewhat. And I know that it granulates insane when you don't work it like it's being worked, but I would like a granulating version of that one. Because I'm just super curious, because that's going to be like Lapis Lazuli on acid or something, and could be interesting. This would be going more towards red shade than, but Rembrandt chose not to specify PB 15.3 or PB 15.6, or this is just PB 15. But I have a feeling that this is the middle road, so this is in between green shade and red shade. And I chose that one on purpose. And I know for mixing purposes, usually the green shade is chosen, but I chose not to. Okay, now I'm just really scared that I am going to get a red hand again. Oh, yeah, it's in. Okay, now moving on. Here we go. Oh no, sorry, I'm forgetting one color that was already in. And the reason was that when this tube, when I opened it up, the paint squirted out. So I quickly grabbed a little pan that was already here and I put it in there. So that one is already filled. So, and this is also PB15. And, you know, I love it because look how bright, what a bright blue this is. And there is probably whitener in there. I read on Quinec's site, and I think maybe I'm going to put in an order for the Windsor and Newton alternative, which there is. And at this point, I have forgotten. I think it's a PB36, maybe a Cobalt, a 36. I don't know. But that is said to be a good alternative to that one. Right, so now got my own Cobalt. You know, I could only choose paints from the ones that I had, right? So there maybe sometimes you will feel, oh, that would have been a better choice. But so look how thin this is, fluid. And I see oh my God, this is I'm not sure I even have paint in here. I have a problem. Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to try and do a little bit of rescuing of this paint, because I feel that all that came out is binder. That's annoying. Yeah, look. It looks so gooey and so ugh. Cobalts and chromiums are very often have this problem of separation, and it's very annoying. So let's see when the paint comes out. So I'm gonna keep squeezing over this glass little vial until real paint starts coming out. And there's still binder dripping, no paint to be seen. A little air bubble, big air bubble, huge air bubble, lots of air, no paint. And I think now the paint is coming. Yep. Now there is some paint coming. But it makes me wonder, without the binder in here, am I going to have a problem? And without the binder in there, I'm probably going to have to chuck in some binder in there, right? Experiment. I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to try to suck up some of this binder again. Oh, God. Well, now you know why I prepared to put so many things in place before I started. Look how dirty this is. Always when you have this separation, you're going to find it's everywhere. So frustrating. Oh, okay, anyway. Right, let me first do this. Oh no, I should first put in a little bit of that binder stuff. Looks gruesome. So much stuff wasted. I hate it when it happens. Sometimes for that reason, I prefer to buy pans of colors I know can separate. Okay, put the lid on. And then a good stir. What's the color before Lapis Lazuli? Well, that's the PV62, the very recently attributed pigment number for strontium phosphate. It's it's Windsor and Newton. No, yes, no. Schminky Horadam, sorry. 473. Right, oh my God. Okay, stirring this in, because I think this paint probably needs the binder. Why else would it be in there, right? Well, although this binder is usually not in the pan. So, right, PB36, Schminke Horadam 499. Okay, now let's do the little swatch. Okay. All right, PG50. Haha. One of my besties. This is a trendy color and I really love it. I just love it. But I think everyone does these days. Oh God. There's binder coming out. No. Binder, go away. Okay. It looks gross. Can you see that? This really needs a stir. It's incredibly pasty. It's like chewing gum. Well, I think chances are that last time I used it, I first squeezed out much of the binder and now get to the paint. That looks like it. Okay. It's not a lot of work, you know, stirring your paint. So it's not a big deal, but something you have to keep in mind. It's never a quick thing, pouring pans, especially not when you're doing a big set, and always things go wrong. But okay, here we go. This is just a really lovely color, beautiful pigment, and I chose this one. The PB28 by Rembrandt is slightly more bluish. This one is a little bit more greenish and was very tender. Sometimes it's a little, I find this color can sometimes be a bit rocky, a bit obtrusive sometimes, and this one seemed to be the most tender, well, the most tender of them all. Now, Windsor & Newton Aqua Green. Kimberly Crick got me interested in this one. And it was really funny because she did a triad with, I think it was PV19, PY150, and this color. She did a video about that, and I got so enthusiastic and I wanted to buy it. So I put it on my wish list. So then the next morning I walked through my studio and I saw a little tube of Windsor & Newton lying there. What was it? Well, the Aqua Green. I already had it, and I already have the PV19 and I have the PY150. So I wanted something I already have. This one has no pigment number yet, unless one has been assigned. And I heard in Kim Crick's video that this was actually made for the automotive industry, which I believe is the car industry, that it granulates heavily in watercolor because since it's normally used for different purpose, there is no incredibly finely ground version available for watercolor. So that results in a beautiful granulation, to which I say hooray. Bring on the granulation. So, and of course there are other beautiful turquoises, and you can make your own turquoise with by mixing the PB15 with a stale green, you know, no problem. But right now, Rembrandt 675. This is phthalo green, PG7, and this is a very, very, very obtrusive color, just like phthalo blue, but it's great for mixing all kinds of colors with. So I never use this, you know, pure, but when I use it to mix, which it does formidably because it's so luminous and so transparent. Oops. I hit the swatch above, but that was dry already, fortunately. Okay. The PY29, which is yellow, azomethane green yellow. I love this color. It's one of my favorites. Next to PY150, these are twins. You know, if you love your quinacridones and PY150, I bet you like this one as well. It's a party maker. It brightens up every painting you use this in. Okay. Look at that. I mean, this is spring in a box, right? I mean, if you ever feel down in the winter time or when the weather is bad, just open your paint box, Get out your PY 129, and it won't be very hard to imagine daffodils and daisies with this color. Right, so a convenience mix. I didn't allow myself many, but one I did allow myself is Sap Green by Rembrandt. It's 623. And I find this is a most beautiful mix of green that I use straight out of the tube. Although I learned from one of my YouTube viewers that if you mix it down with the chromium, the color gets more realistic and more beautiful in foliage. So yeah. But I really, really love this color because it's such a warm and friendly green. And this one too fits perfectly with, you know, the transparent, vibrant, luminous colors. So okay. BG26. One of those other single pigment colors. Came out really, really thin. This is by Rembrandt, number 681. And it's a more bluish, well, is it? It's a yellowish phthalo green, I think. I think that's the name of the color as well. Yeah, phthalo green yellow. So every time I'm getting the pans out because I don't want to, because it's easier. Right, PBK 31. So a black pigment in the row of greens, but it's actually a dark green, perylene green. And I like using that to tone down certain colors as well. That was binder separation. So I'm going to have to mix this one. This is Schminke Horadam. This is perylene green 784. And I really love that color. And Schminke Horadam sets itself apart, I think, in, you know, some people say it's the best watercolor there is in the world, but I find that it's got such finely ground pigments, and that results in incredibly even washes of paint. That it can, yeah, I don't know how to say, it's very even and reliable. But I also sometimes find it, because of that reason, a little bit dull. Maybe it's, you know, the best girl in class, if you know what I mean, behaves too well. I like a little bit of character in my paints as well. So I don't choose the Horadam for everything. Although if you would say, you know, Melly, you can only use Horadam from now on, I wouldn't exactly be complaining. I could do with that. But I have quite a few brands that I could use forever. Rembrandt, I think, is really great. That's one that I think for me, Rembrandt is, you know, it's a good boy in class, but not the best. Which means that it's got some character in there as well, because I like the really high flow and everything. I'm sorry, the beeps. I think somebody is messaging me right now. Serpentine, haha. Here is another stick. Serpentine, here we go. Need to tear off a bit of paper. I was introduced to these by Gina, one of my viewers, and Caroline, and I was a bit skeptical about these. Just squeezing them in. They are going to fit. Here, another battle going on. I'm not really into watercolor sticks. I got a box of Windsor and Newton watercolor sticks once, and I gave them away because I didn't like them. They said you could draw with them and then paint, and I didn't like that at all. It wasn't my thing. So then I was given the Daniel Smith, I think. It was in that order, I believe. And I was not too keen on trying, but I have to say, I really like how easily the paints come off the stick. Especially, oh God, I have to squeeze it in a little bit more here. So this is again a very granulating watercolor, and one of my favorite Primatex. Not necessarily the one I think is most beautiful, but it's one I use a lot in my work for the foliage. Although I do realize now that if I would use the chrome oxide green, you know, that will tone down everything. If I use that with PY150, for instance, maybe I will get close to the serpentine. Oh. Okay. Green Appetite. Fortunately, I have a tube. Green Appetite Genuines, also Primatex, so fairly expensive. Kimberly Crick wrote an article or did a video about how you can, you know, approach the Primatex by making your own mixes, which is always fun to do. And one of you just mentioned the Horadam heavy granulating paints, limited edition sets and everything, and I like them, but I wouldn't buy them again because they are so easy to make yourself, and I believe I would prefer that. Green Appetite, right. Okay, PG15, the ugliest color in my set, without a doubt. Rembrandt 668. I really think it's ghastly. Sort of like a navy green. It's extremely dull. It's opaque. It's unlike anything I'd ever want to use. Until I started, you know, when I ask for tips on my YouTube channel and people say, Mandy, maybe you should go and try that, I really do try that, you know. I'm not just asking these questions to generate more conversation and to hopefully end up higher in the search engine of YouTube. I'm really interested in other people's experience. I think it's just really great, you know, we can all learn from each other. That's what's so fun about YouTube. It's not, you know, one-way traffic. Okay, let me read again. Blah, 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 blah. Caroline! Hey, this is fun. I forgot to send you a message I wanted to, and then I was already filming. Sorry, but hi. Great you're here. Caroline, she is the woman. I just talked about you, Caroline. I gossiped about you, and I said that we met in the marketplace and that you brought me some paints. And so she's my sister from another mother, from the United States. Hi, Terry. Yes, watching watercolors. I'm composing now. It's my ultimate paint box. Hey, Tom. Hi. Yes, I'm doing well. Thank you. I hope you're doing well too. Gossip away. Well, it was only good things, Caroline. It was only good things. Caroline lives really, really close to the Daniel Smith factory and shop. And I mean, like half an hour away by car, I think, if I remember correctly. And I'm kind of a weird one, because what I really like to do is on Google Maps, if I know where you live or where people live, I will go there and I will do the street view. And what I did is I looked up how to drive from her house to the Daniel Smith factory. And that was just so interesting. I learned so much about the United States from that trip. In the first place, the Seattle and Tacoma area are really wonderful place. I would love to go there one day. But what I found out from, sort of quote unquote driving around the area was now I know why Americans have so many cars and why Americans hardly go anywhere by bike. Is because, like, here in the Netherlands, we have, like, the city center, which is a marketplace, and there's a city hall and churches, and there are streets with shops around that and bars and everything, and you can sit outside and have lunch or have a coffee, or in the evening have a drink with your friends. So you can go there because the city center is usually in the middle of town, so you go there by bike or by bus or whatever, and then you do everything by foot. But in the United States, I found out that, at least in that area, and then I checked later, I was very curious about Salt Lake City, so I sort of drove around there, quote unquote drove, and San Francisco area. And I found out that in the United States, shops are huge in the first place, but they are more like big buildings, commercial, like in France, there is these commercial zones, but every shop has a huge parking lot. So there are hardly any cycling lanes or sidewalks, not in every area. So it's the infrastructure is so different, and it's just so interesting to it's got nothing to do with pigments and paints, I know, but maybe I just want to say that it's so fascinating that it all starts with pigments and paints, and then before you know it, you're quote unquote driving through a different area and learning a lot about life in other places. Now I understand why gas is so cheap, gasoline is so cheap in the United States. Everyone has to drive so much. Right, anyway, Daniel Smith, German greenish umber. I like that one. Here we go. Came all the way from where Caroline lives, just half an hour away. And it's situated right by the harbor. The entire city of Seattle is situated right by the sea. So it's very impossible not to be situated near a harbor. But anyway, this is just a romantic image I have in my head. I still remember being there in the parking lot and, seeing this huge area where there's all these containers and I think trains. I think it's a freight train area where they are parked and changed and everything. So, well, interesting, just very interesting. And it's all on a bigger scale than here in the Netherlands. We are just a stamp-sized country, as I said before. So everything here is small. It's like a doll's house. And then when you virtually drive through the United States, everything is big. We have a German author, Ilya Leonhard Pfeiffer, and he wrote a book, Grand Hotel Europe. And in that book, he said the Chinese, they perceive Europe to be an open-air museum of times gone by, because it's all so cute and small. And, well, quote unquote, driving through the United States, I sort of get what they mean. Another Daniel Smith, Tiger's Eye Genuine. You won't believe how many trees I've painted with the Tiger's Eye Genuine. And yes, they do re-wet a bit more difficult, but they're a pain in the ass in that respect. But I have to say, I use cheap brushes. I use synthetic brushes. And this is a Leonard 20 RO Ruby. And it's very cheap. So I use my brushes. I don't know if I've showed some of you before, but this is a very tiny one. I do a lot of precision work. And this I don't know if you can see the hairs here is only 4 millimeters left. So it's already worn away for about a centimeter. So yeah, some paint does that to your brushes. But right, I have to tap this flat because this is really sturdy, this color. But that's all right. I love the Tiger's Eye Genuine. It's very close to the German green umber, but when used intensely, the Tiger's Eye Genuine heads toward a fairly deep mid-brown, grayish mid-brown. Good. Now I need to put in the Tiger's Eye before the umber. Yes. Oh. Dirty hands, dirty hands. Da 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 da. Okie dokie. Where are we? Jadeite green is also very useful green. Oh yes, 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 yes. I know. Look, let's do some more gossip, Caroline. Can I show them what you sent me? Yes, 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 I can. Caroline sent me this paint box, and I really, really love it. It's gorgeous, and I've used it a lot, as you can see. Actually, this paint box is always on my table. I love, I love working with granulating colors, and I really love this set, which has so many Primatex: the rhodonite, the purpurite, amethyst, hematite violet, kyanite, sodalite, lapis lazuli, Mayan blue, blue apatite, diopsite. And now I have to do a little bit of cleaning because I can't read what it says here. Jadeite. This is the jadeite. Whoops. I like it too, but it's a bit intense. I always like mossy colors. So serpentine, green apatite, zoisite, burned. Caroline, help me out. I don't know. Burned, but bronzite, hematite, burnt scarlet, piemontite, and tiger's eye, cyclorite, and bloodstone. And I've added a few, and I forgot to write down what they are. So I think this is I don't know. I really haven't. This is not a rhodonite, but anyway, I love working with this set, as you can see, and I've replaced almost all the colors. There's just a couple I've never replaced, like the burnt bronzite and the piemontite, and still the piemontite is going to be my set. That's really funny. And I think that's it. I think all the other colors have been replaced before. Yeah. Okie dokie. Da 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 da. Our harbors are romantic. Yes, we. I live in a town in the west of the country by the sea, and we have a really romantic but super tiny little harbor. And right now there is a big millionaire ship in the harbor that's as high as the houses around it, Caroline. It's a big. The ship is also sometimes in Monaco. So when you come there now, your entire view is wasted because of that luxury ship. It's worth millions, that thing. But anyway, it's full of boats right now. That's my impression too. Everything is huge in the US, even the bushes and the skies. Thank you for a free tip. Yes, a free trip tip. Well, really, if you know anyone in the United States and you want to have a little bit of educational fun, it really is sort of enlightening to do a virtual trip. I mean, my family laughs at me for doing things like that, but really it was great fun. And you really get to understand somebody else a lot better as well. It's not that I didn't understand Caroline, but we always assume that somebody else lives the way we do, right? So you sort of, when they talk about their lives, you always add the images about your own lives. So when someone says, I go to such and such a shop, you see them cycling and everything. But now I have to see, no, Caroline will get into the car and she'll drive somewhere to that shop where there is a big parking lot. And this may seem like a really futile detail, but in the end, it really makes you think differently about things. Right, this is Daniel Smith, Monte Amiata, and this is a chapter in my ultimate set that's interesting as well. It took me forever to compose my neutral and natural earth tones, meaning the siennas and the umbers and the ochres, because there are so many that are so wonderful. So I went for, eventually, the Monte Amiata and PY42 as my only ochre alternatives, and the Daniel Smith Goethite, which is a brown ochre. And I went for the Monte Amiata because it's, the Rembrandt yellow ochre is beautiful, but it's opaque. And I really prefer, I think, transparent colors. So I thought that for once, I'm going to give this a chance and see where it gets me. The second color in this row is Rembrandt 265, which is a PY42 transparent oxide yellow, which I really loved. Ugh. This comes out of the tube a little bit lumpy and bumpy, so I'm going to give it a little stir. Ugh. This looks very, very, very bad. No, but it's not a bad color. It's just, it's been some kind of reaction in the tube. So, look, it already looks lovely and smooth now. Okay. Good. Oh, God. Okay, so here we go. PY42. Right now, under this lamp, everything, many colors look rather alike. No, not all the colors, but some colors, the reds, etc. But I promise you that in daylight, they look much, much different. Because that's what I also checked out. All the colors I used, there had to be quite a difference between them to deserve a place in this set. I would have loved to add, another PR 101, but I didn't even add one single PR 101. Oh, that's a first. How do you say this? Goethite? Goethite? Right, where are we? Da-da-da-da. What have you got in mind for the palette? Is it for universal use? Yes, Tom. Well, the thing is, as you know, I have a lot of paints, and it may seem lovely, and I'm not complaining, but there is a luxury problem that when you have so many paints, it actually stops you from working and making paintings. The thing is that at some point you just need to sort of limit yourself, and that to be productive. And I'm sort of focusing now on focusing, and I'm becoming more productive, and making my hours more productive as well. So I'm letting go of Facebook. That's a big thing. And the other thing I'm trying to do is to sort of declutter, quote unquote, my work environment. So I'm trying to put away everything that I don't necessarily immediately work with. And I try to limit myself to certain art supplies. Because it can feel like a burden too, when you have a lot of paints to choose from. It gets stressful sometimes to because you're spending more time looking for the right color than you are actually painting. Because when you don't have that many paints to choose from, well, because this is still an insane amount, right? But when you don't have like 100 or 150, then you just mix your own. And also, when you have 150 paints on your table or more, you keep looking for light fastness things. You keep looking for all that information. You're constantly doubting. You're making all kind of mixing charts. Whereas when you have one designated limited palette, you get to know your paint so well. You will know exactly what their properties are and what they will look like in your painting. So I have, in the past years, I've sort of aimed at acquiring paints to review and get more. And now I want to dive into the depth of the paint and really get to know them. But most of all, be more prolific and make a lot more paintings. And yeah. So, and the style I want to work in, I want this palette to be both useful for illustration work as for my paintings. So I chose pigments that I like to use for both. So I want to see what happens when I limit myself. Sorry. I think tomorrow I'm going to be very silent because right now I'm speaking so much that I'm feeling an itch in my throat. It's going to be peaceful for my family then. PBR7. If you had told me there would be so much PBR7 in my paint set, I would have not believed you. But I would have put in a PR101, and I haven't. And I love PR101. Why didn't I put in a PR101? Well, if the Dioxazine Purple is, if I can't find a good light fast dioxazine variety of the purple, and I can't find anything else, then I'm going to chuck in a PR101. Okay, so this is PBR7. It's number 411, Burnt Sienna. And this also, I chose for this, I just showed you, I think, in the beginning. I had intended on choosing Rembrandt 378, which is a PR101, a beautiful transparent red-brown. And I love that color. But in mixes, I found that this Burnt Sienna held up better. And that was after a tip I got from one of you on my channel when I asked for tips if anyone, you know, could tell me if I had left out a pigment that I shouldn't. And in mixing, I found that it actually provides better mixes. Dutch Nature Art asks me in which city or village I live. I live in Goes. And I have a friend in Eindhoven, so I come there a lot, and we often go walking there in the woods. So it's a lovely area. I love it there. And I live in Goes in Zeeland. That was a great palette of Primatex, wasn't it, Caroline? It still is. I really, really love it. Are these Canson watercolor? No, there is no. Oh, you mean the watercolor paper? Hi, Loretta. Canson has no watercolors. It's a paper manufacturer. And yes, it's painted on Canson Monval, £140, £140 paper. So I paint all my swatches on Canson Monval, the heavier version of it, because that's fair for comparison, isn't it? So this is Burnt Umber by Rembrandt, 409, and it's a beautiful mid-brown, which is why I chose it. Oops. And what I like about these is that they are nice and transparent, but what I like about the the Rembrandt browns is that they are good, and they are good at doing the PBR7. What I noticed is that different paint manufacturers are also, better at handling certain paints. So this was 409 PBR7. Now I'm going to go towards Daniel Smith Permanent Brown. And I love that color. I ordered it a long time ago and I'd never used it. And then I rediscovered it at trying out all my tubes of paint. And I was smitten with it. So it ended up straight into the favorites list. It's PBR 25. Oops. It's an intense color. Beautiful auburn red color. I used to dye my hair this color. Maybe it's why I like it so much. Oh God, it's very intense. Trying to light up the top part so I can read what it says. Okay. Who makes the paints? Just what some Schmink. I think you mean Schminke, Loretta. Schminke is a wonderful brand. If you've only just started buying paints and you bought Schminke, then you got yourself a really good brand. But there are so many, many brands. If you want to know of all these colors who produced it, then I will save this live video and you can watch it again later and write down all the names and numbers of the paint manufacturers. Or if you want, I will write a blog post about this and, write down all the names and color charts and everything. So you can look it up. Right, this is, a problem. Yes, which I've just discovered. Because now I was supposed to enter the Daniel Smith Paraline Maroon, which is PR179, but I don't have that. I wanted to order that one. And that is a color I think I want to order to mix a good alternative for alizarin crimson, if I remember correctly. Right, now this is Piemontite. Or Piemontite. I don't know what you want to call it, but I'm squishing it in. Whoops. I know that with a knife it would be easier, but the struggle is real. Want to at least feel as if this has been a bit of a battle. So I can come out of my studio and that my family will say, "Oh boy, you've had a hard time. Just sit down. We'll get you something to drink." Loretta, you like the Windsor & Newton also? Yes, Windsor & Newton is really transparent and lovely as well. Just earlier in this live session, we talked about Lucas, and well, my experience with them wasn't so good. If you're interested, you can look it again later. But if you like them, you don't have to. Maybe you shouldn't. If you like them, maybe you shouldn't watch again. Piemontite. Okay. Oops. Yes, it's in. And now I have to color in the right swatch. Yes. Piemontite, I think, is a bit like Caput Mortuum, but it's transparent. It's not so. Caput Mortuum is like it's so dull and so. And I like the tone, but I don't like the dullness of it. So Okay. Now, Van Dyke Brown. This one by Daniel Smith I really like because it's very, very dark. And if you mix this with a little Indanthrene blue, you will get, I think, a beautiful grayish black. Or even if you do it with a PB15, for that matter, you will get a beautiful grey, I think. Gosh, you've never been there. You were in Zeeland one time long ago to visit. Oh ja, dat Tranchman. If you like to in this area, I recommend the Herbertusbossen in Hazen. Okay, I've never been there before, but I will. Eindhoven is a city that's beautiful woodlands around that. I love it there. When we go there for a walk, it's beautiful. So this PBR7 by Daniel Smith I chose because it reminds me so much of sepia. And that's my other preferred color in the darker tones. But I didn't insert it because sepia is a pigment composition, and I wanted to go for single pigment colors as much as I could, except for the sap green that I allowed, as a convenience color. Right, Schminke Horadam Mars Black, which is the granulating black. It's a good alternative for DS Lunar Black. Everyone talks about that, and I used to too. The moment I got that, I was smitten with it. Absolutely. I think I used up half a tube just in trying things. But the thing is, I think it's a little bit overboard. I think it's a bit, it's like, I don't know. I think it's right now I really still like, black granulation, but I prefer a more modest version of it, which the Schminke Horadam is. And also the Schminke Horadam has got sort of a creamy undertone when it dries up. It's not completely black versus white like the Lunar Black by Daniel Smith. It's a little softer, which I like. And the particles are also slightly smaller, so there is a little bit more control, maybe. Maybe that's what I like about it. Okay, yes. Now, PBK 6. It's a fairly boring black. I was not going to put in any black at all, but then I was looking for a good alternative for indigo, because indigo that I wanted to put in there had 3 pigments, and I was not going to do that. So this is Rembrandt 702. And then I realized that I really did need a version of black in there to create a beautiful indigo. Well, then there is Onets in there's Oxgol. And this afternoon, I read that somebody asked me on my timeline what she could do with that. I have no idea because I haven't tried it myself. I bought it because I heard it was going to be fantastic, but I haven't tried it yet. Apparently, it helps the flow of the paint. So I was thinking of using it on the Quinacridones a bit. I was just thinking of using it at all. If I don't like it, I'm going to chuck it out. I'm going to create a new color chart and put in another pigment, because I've got another few pigments I might like to add. But I think that in due time, I will be able to tell, if there are pigments that I miss. For instance, the PR 101 by Rembrandt. I mean, that's a very big darling I killed by not take not having that in their set, I'm telling you. Although, can you see, this is also a red brown, so the red browns are already very well represented. So it's nonsensical to chuck in another, but who knows? You know, in the end, I might say the Piemontite and the permanent brown are too much alike, or I'm going to try this one, and it might change over time. It might change as my, I don't know, when you paint, your style changes too, doesn't it? All right. Okay, hold on, let me read. You have a collection of paints, stamp and watercolor, made nearly 2,000 cards for a local hospice. Wow, that's prolific, Loretta. You think the Lucas is chalky? Oh yes, yes. I don't like Lucas for that reason. I like transparent and luminous. It doesn't necessarily blend out or mix that great. No, that's a problem with chalky colors. They don't flow that well. Definitely, too many paints make a burden and stress. Just organizing, getting to know them, it takes so much time. Absolutely, that's why I'm doing this. I mean, you won't hear me complaining about having so many paints because I still love them. But it doesn't really help my productivity. It's I think that at some point in time, I shall tell you a little anecdote about art supplies and being an artist. You see, when I was in high school, I was not very good at drawing, and I still am not the best at drawing, but I can do a lot with what I can do. But I think after a while, when I grew up, when I was an adult, I really loved painting, etc. And I don't know, I don't remember what it was, but one time somebody said to me that I think you are an artist. And I didn't really believe that. I dared not believe it. But from that moment on, I began to buy art supplies like mad. I think I wanted to deserve being an artist by collecting art supplies. You know, there was an insatiable hunger for art supplies. And after so many years, when my kids were in school, I ran into this woman, Ingrid. She's still a good friend of mine, one of my best friends. She's a professional illustrator. She's one of the few Dutch illustrators who manages to really pull off a really good income with her illustrations. And one day she invited me to the studio, something I wouldn't say no to. And when I got there, I noticed she had so few art supplies. And I was completely surprised. So we talked about that, and she was a little bit surprised that I was surprised by that. And then I invited her back. When she walked into my studio, she was flabbergasted, and she was like, "All that stress! How many art supplies have you got? Then you don't need all this." And she said, "I would go crazy if I had to work in a studio like this." And from that moment on, I began to check out artist studios, and I found out that many real artists, like professional artists, they don't have that many art supplies at all, because they want to be productive, and they want to work. They don't want to collect. They want to work. That was a lesson learned. Pearline Maroon from Holbein. Yes, I hear people talking about Holbein a lot. I've got a few colors, and they were not to my taste in how they behaved. So I never tried to. I never bought them otherwise. Oh, and it's a flow medium. Yes. You like to use it with Holbein paints because they don't use oxgall in their paints. No, exactly. That's what I found out about Holbein too, is, they're also an Asian brand, and they don't flow as much as I like. Feline says, or feline, I'm the same. I get put off by the idea of needing to draw first. What do you mean, feline? You're getting stress from all the supplies, or? Yes, Caroline, this is the ultimate palette for today, and tomorrow is another day. And you find you must have anthraquinoid, but you sent me that. Caroline, I still have that very close at hand. You sent me that, and I still have the vial of anthraquinone red. It is beautiful, but is it light fast? Is it light fast, Caroline? Do you know? Can you look it up for me? Or I can try and look it up as well. Hold on. Is it not in my set? Let me see. Not rated. It says light fastness 1, and then between brackets, not rated. So that's why I didn't include it in my set. Because I'm a little bit unsure about how light fast it is. Oh, by the way, the last color I just added is Rembrandt 106 with pigment number PW6. And this is an opaque white watercolor, and I found this to be the best covering white and also the purest white, because Sennelier has also got a really good covering white. Only the problem with Sennelier is that it's tinted a little bit towards the cream, which I don't like. So I prefer, I really prefer this one. So, and now all that needs to happen is, so I have got a job to do. So first job I have to do tomorrow is order a couple of colors, because I ran out of PY150 by Daniel Smith, which is not allowed in this studio. So I have to do something about that. And I have to look into Dioxazine Violet, which I'm totally surprised I didn't find out before. It's not light fast, probably. So I've got to look into that. And if it's not light fast, it's not ending up in my palette. Because I have to be able to make paint that people can hang on the wall and not call me in a few weeks' time and say, Mandy, your purple's turned brown, because that would be a problem. And what else did I have to do? I might have to watch my own video again to see what I'm forgetting. I often prefer painting and feeling like I should draw first. It gets in the way. Oh, definitely. I hardly ever draw first. What's funny, Caroline? Yes, I'm hanging on. Oh. Well, there's a lot of colors. Are there any colors in here you think that I have missed? Is there anyone here now screaming and pulling out their hair, saying, you should have had this or you should have had that? Very well possible. Because I've only tested the colors that I own. So I know that Daniel Smith has way more colors than I own. So maybe they do have colors that belong in here. I'm not sure. But so far, it's quite the set, isn't it? I'm looking forward to seeing it by daylight, because right now, these two reds, the PR254 and PR178, look a bit dull. I think I laid them down a little bit too heavily as well. You forgot you sent that to me, Caroline. Well, I didn't. I've got a few other files from you with PB156, PY150. So the Azo Yellow and the Blue green shade. I've got them all, got them still. And you looked up the light fastness faster than I could open my list. Yes, but that's because I am literally surrounded. Look, by all the color charts. So I've actually got the Daniel Smith color chart at hand. And here it says anthraquinoid red, price series 2, light fastness 1, not rated. So But it says light fastness 1. What pigment number is that? Let me see. PR. Oh yes, Caroline. That's the famous PR177. Oh God, I want to tell you something sad about that, but it won't be a problem unless you make art that you want people to hang on a wall. The PR177, just like the PR149, they are often used in alizarin crimson hues, but they are not light fast, unfortunately. So also the permanent alizarin crimson by Daniel Smith, the 185, it contains PR177, PV19, and PR149, and those are not light fast. So the paint manufacturers, they say it's light fastness grade 1, so it scores very high, but probably that's only compared to, you know, the red colors in general. I read that on Kim Crick site, because when tested, you know, people don't actually see the light fastness results that the manufacturers claim they have. So what I have now on my window is, look, whoops, I have to be so careful now. Hold on, before I do anything else, I'm going to put this tray full of paints into the box, the designated box, and I'm going to close the lid so that I can't, because I can be so clumsy. Okay, right. So here I painted 2 swatches. So this is the Daniel Smith Permanent Alizarin Crimson, and I cut half of it off and I stuck it to my window. And here is the PR149 Perylene Scarlet by Rembrandt, which is also a really beautiful color. And I'm just going to see what happens. So I'm going to compare it every day, and I'm going to see if it is indeed not light fast. Manufacturers say it is, and then I think it was Bruce McAvoy from Handprint. He said it's not light fast. Kim Crick says it's not light fast. So yeah, dark reds are very difficult in light fastness. And I'm really praying for a nutty professor who will fix the problem and who will, because I love this color, this permanent alizarin crimson. It's more permanent than, you know, PR83, which is the genuine alizarin, but it's still not as light fast. If you want to sell art, or if you want to make one of those beautiful square paintings with this, well, on the other hand, it would also be interesting to see what happens, because right now I'm working on something. Well, I'm doing something interesting. This is not watercolor related, but this is related in a different way. Is that I made my own gall inks, and those are known for containing a certain acidity, and they are very high in acid. So that is a very good reason not to use it if you want something to be, you know, to be forever. Well, what is forever? But you want it to be for a couple of decades. You want to sell art. Don't use this ink. But because when I was in university, I dealt with very old manuscripts from the Middle Ages and everything, and they were written with this same ink. So this is a medieval recipe that I copied, I made myself. And what's so interesting is that I got a couple of manuscripts, like really beautiful books, where this ink had been used on parchment, and because it's so acidic, this everywhere where there was writing, it just it ate away the parchment, so it was all filigree. There were no letters to be seen anymore, just a filigree of where all the letters had sort of burned out the parchment. So that was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I've been thinking of finding a way to raise the acidity in this, and then, to do something with that, to aim for the acidity. But I'm keeping this very far away from my watercolors, of course. So experiments. But what I wanted to say with that is that, it can also be interesting to use a fugitive paint in a designated paint, and then to let the fugitive character of the paint be the lead of your work. To let it be about what's it called? Oh, I don't remember the word. Vergankelijkheid. Does anyone know the translation of the word vergankelijkheid? Everything. There is a word for it. I can't. My brain can't get there. But that would be interesting, I think. Insatiable hunger for art supplies. You can relate. Yes, but it's very great to have new art supplies at hand all the time. But at the same time, it can, at one point you can suddenly feel the burden, and then then the hunger for the supplies gets replaced by a sense of guilt and by a sense of weight around you. At least that's how I experienced it. And I've had 2 big rounds of decluttering, and I gave away a lot of my art supplies, a lot of my paints to good causes. Kids usually with artistic talent that didn't have the money for art supplies. Sometimes you need to try a few brands of the same color just to know what you prefer. Absolutely. Yes, I agree. Although you can also try reliable reviews online. There are some people, like I said, I don't watch watercolor reviewers on YouTube a lot. I tend to avoid them, not to get influenced by them. But I really liked how Kimberly Craig reviews art supply, the watercolors. I think she does a really good job. She does have an online show, so I'm not sure how independent she is in that respect, but I find that her reviews, her opinion and her reviews and her experiences with the paint are thorough, and for as far as I could see, they come across with my experience as well. So I think that she's a pretty good, reliable source for that, and she compares brands as well, as Jane Blundell or Jane Blundell does. So that would be a really good place for you to check out if you want to save yourself money. Because I also find, on the one hand, you would like to try different brands, but on the other hand, you would spend a lot of money on 1, 2, or 3 tubes of paint that you will never use, because in the end, once you find your favorite, you will keep buying that one. I wish that every paint manufacturer would find a way to make dot charts. That would be so helpful. I think Daniel Smith did a wonderful job in that, in creating the first dot card. Did anyone try Horadam's Ruby Red Deep and knows if it lasts? Let me look. Ruby Red Deep, PR264. I think that should be. No, I'm not sure. Let me see. I did look it up, but I don't know if I have it. These were all my red options. Look, the DS Permanent Alizarin Crimson. Look how beautiful it is. I would love, love, love to have that in my paint box, but then it has to be light fast. What did you say? You said the number is Ruby Red Deep. No, I looked up the number, and the number is 346. Schminke Horadam 346. I don't think I have it. 343. No. No, I don't have it. I'm sorry. Does anyone else have it? Most schminke are light fast. Loki says, thank you. I found that PV23 to be fine too. Do you mean the schminke? PV23, because they say in their own brochure that it's only 2 out of 5 stars light fastness. But I have to say, I've never had a problem with PV23, as far as I know. Or maybe some people who've got some art from me hanging on their wall have brown art now. I don't know. Wondering why so few sennelier colors when you have the whole set. Yes, that surprised me too. And believe you me, I have tried so many sennelier colors. But in the end, sennelier often lost it to more innovative manufacturers of paint, meaning that sennelier is beautiful for glazing and it's a beautiful paint brand, but at the same time I found that from many colors, well, let me grab, hold on, because I have the sennelier color charts right here, and I've had them by my side. I had the paints by my side all the time. So this is the sennelier color chart, and what I found is that for many colors they had a very limited set of pigments, and that for many of their colors they made so many paints that are composed with multiple pigments, and that made it, I was aiming for single pigments as much as I could, and having so many, multiple pigment paints in that collection already excluded some colors, even though the colors in themselves are really beautiful and lovely to paint with. At the end of the day, when I checked for mixability, for brightness, for transparency, for flow properties, I also checked for them being single pigment or not, and I found that many of the beautiful colors, like here the Indian Yellow, the 517 by Sennelier, is absolutely gorgeous, but I found that I could easily mix that with the colors that I chose. So in the end, that turned out to be a case for a lot of the paints by Sennelier, and which is why they never landed in my, why they never landed in my set. And also I found that some manufacturers are better at some ranges of color than the other. Some manufacturers are really good at blues, the others are really good in yellows, and etc. So yeah. Maybe leave your box a bit propped open. Oh, absolutely. Yes, I will. I've just closed it for now because I know myself and I can just throw it onto the floor by accident. I don't want that to happen. Schminke PV23, you have it on paper hanging on the wall with almost direct sunlight since 2018 and it's fine. Yes, I have the same experience for as far as I know, which is probably why I never checked to see if it really was light fast or not. And I'm really got it, but I'll look into that. And well, if any of you have some more information or get some more information about this, or experience with fading or this coloring, low-key, maybe there is something you can do. Maybe you can make a little swatch of this paint if you still have the same tube of paint or the same pan, and hold it very close to your painting, to the areas that have that color, and then see if there's been a difference, if there's been a shift over time. That would be interesting. half of the yellows look similar. I take it you mean the Sennelier, because I think so too. Yes, I think if you look in the mid-range, they are very, very similar. Like these, for instance, and from these are two very different. Sorry, very similar. Yes, I agree. So that's why I didn't go for that. No, I used the PY35 cadmium lemon yellow by Sennelier. That's really gorgeous, and even though it's semi-opaque, it's not dull. So that's what I find happens to cadmium colors sometimes, that they tend to dull, which the Sennelier doesn't do. I did consider the PY35 by Sennelier, but when I laid it next to the PY 145 that I have by Rembrandt, I saw the difference was not great enough to add the PY 35 cadmium yellow light. So Mandy needs to know. She's looking for a light fast PV 23. Yes, absolutely. And you know what it is? When I have a problem like that, I won't stop until I have an answer. I won't stop until I have a good alternative. So that's why something like this takes me 3 days to prepare, and I'm still working on it. So this is the 4th day I've been working on, on this paint box. I really want to get into it. Yeah, that's sort of like I don't know. It's a thing I do. Didn't put it in a window for a test. It's hanging on the wall without a frame. If I had it still, I would make a light for a swatch. Yes. Well, you know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do as well. I'm going to make I'm going to swatch it, because that's the only way that we'll ever know. I'm going to do it right now. Why wait until tomorrow? And you know what? I have 2 brands here. So I'll swatch them both. On the other hand, I do have to say that if this is not, if it doesn't end up in my paint box, it's all right too, because it's rather an overwhelming color, right? It's like the Thale colors. It's so in your face. I never use it pure, just in mixing. Okay, so this is Rembrandt, and I'm going to leave it to dry and just cut it in half and stick one half on the window, and the other half I'm keeping that in a dark drawer. Okay, here we go. Oh, that looks very. Oh no, it doesn't. Whoa, that's dark. Oh my god, look. That is incredibly dark. Oh my god. Is this the same pigment? Yes. Oh my god. This is it's nearly black, and it's cooler in tone. This is uncontrollable. But that's what I like about core. Well, I was trying to aim for some lighter spots as well, really succeeding. Well, okay. So I need my pen. I'm gonna write down. So this is, whoops, Rembrandt 548. 8, and this is core. Dioxazine Purple. So, Dioxazine, Rembrandt 4, 8. And this is PV23. PV23. Okay, I'm going to leave it to dry, cut it in half, and do a light fastness test, as I do with these. And I'll get back to you about that, although I don't know how long it has to wait, because I read somewhere that light fastness tests, they sometimes do 800 hours. I'm not that patient. And I also read that some manufacturers, was it Windsor and Newton, who have this, or was it Core, who have this machine that will throw so much light onto something that it equals so many hours. So yeah. Earlier you mentioned granulating phthalo blue. Manganese blue hue is PB15 and granulating. Yes. No, that's all right. It's okay changing the subjects, no problem. But yeah, that's true. It does granulate. But the reason why I'm saying that, Charlotte, is because I found out that when I was looking into pigments a couple of months or years back even, I don't remember, I found out that the phthalo pigment itself granulates uncontrollably. It apparently is horrible, and that in order to make it into a paint, they need to grind it so fine that it becomes extremely tinting. So I was kind of curious if what would happen if one day a manufacturer would get up and say, well, I'm not gonna grind it this finely. I'm gonna leave it, to granulate a little bit more like its natural behavior. That would be interesting, I think. Okay, so lovelies, I'm really glad my box is nearly filled. There are 2 empty spots and I'm going to fill them soon. So I am going to say goodnight to you, because over here it's already midnight. I'm really tired. So I'm going to sit for a little while and then go to bed. I want to thank you for being here. It was really nice. It was a really nice evening. And yes, it certainly was multitasking. My brain fog is tired. But it was really nice to do this with you guys. There are a few people who understand the pigment madness, and how luxurious is it that online we can meet up here and have a talk. And we haven't had one spammer or a troll or anything, so that's been really great. And it's been lovely hanging out with you here. And yes, I also have a Patreon for those who are interested in watercolors. And this September, I'm going to start with a paint-along project that's going to last a year. So there's also going to be live sessions in that tier. It will be up soon, somewhere in August. I will start from September for those who like to paint along with me. And the theme for this year is going to be Pigment Lab. So we're going to address one pigment every month. But also we're going to do faces in all kinds of ways. So it will be watercolor mostly, but I will look for a mixed media application every month to show how versatile watercolor is in combination with mixed media. Okay, well, thank you. A master. Well, it's been good seeing you all, guys. Thank you very much. And well, have a very good day if you're in a place in the world where the sun still shines. And otherwise, I want to wish you a very good night and see you again soon. Bye. Oh, now I've got to end my... I was thinking to end this live chat on my tablet, but I'm actually filming with my phone. Oh boy, the mix-up. Well, thank you. Bye.